Hey guys, it's Chris. Thanks for checking out my video. This project is a toddler swing or a baby swing that I built for my niece, who is also my goddaughter. I started off by sending all the lumber through the planer, getting it planed down to the thickness that I need. All this lumber is rough sawn lumber, and it came off my sawmill, which came off our family's property. So it's really cool to be able to build projects and finish projects that come from lumber off your own property. I have other sawmill videos on my channel if you guys want to check them out. Make sure you guys watch to the end of the video because I got some really cool tricks to show you, kind of like this one. I wrap tape around the board before I make the cuts on the miter saw, and that is to help prevent tear out on the back side of the board. I do this on all the cuts on the miter saw. If you guys like this video, please drop a like and subscribe to my channel. It helps me out tremendously. Now on each one of these end of the boards, I cut a 5-degree miter, and that is to allow the backrest to be at a 5-degree angle, leaning back to help the kids kind of stay in the swing a little bit more and not want to slide out the front. Next, I send each one of these side pieces through the router, and that is to cut a groove all the way down. I mark out where the boards interface, and that is because I want to take half of the material thickness off each one of these boards to get them to sit flush so they're not overlapping like they are here. I drop the table saw sled on the table saw. If you guys don't have a table saw sled, they're easy to build and they're super handy to have. Notch out the material. I set the blade height to half the thickness of the material. And after each pass, I scooch the board over one blade thickness. I continue this all the way down until I have all the material that I need taken away. I do this on all 4 side pieces, alternating what side I'm taking the material off of. A quick sand job to clean up any rough marks from the table saw. And now the pieces fit together really nicely, nice and flush. Once I'm happy with the fit up, I apply glue, spread it out, and clamp everything together. I take a sharp chisel to remove any excess glue. A lot of people like to clean off wood glue with a wet rag, but I find I just end up smearing it all over the place. And on inside corners like these, sometimes it's easier just to wait for the glue to dry and scrape it off or chip it off with a sharp chisel. You have to be careful not to tear out any wood fibers though. Next, I cut the side pieces down to the right height and length. I was really not sure on how big to make these. My wife had to help me decide how big kids are and how big I should actually make this chair. And these small pieces right here, these are going to be the supports for the armrest. I assemble all the pieces to make sure I like how they fit. And I mark out where the armrest supports need to go. I also mark out on the armrest supports what material I need to take away, and use the same technique with the table saw sled as I did on the side pieces in order to get the armrest supports to fit into the side pieces the way that I want them to. To remove the material away from the side pieces, I use a router to get the bulk of the material away, and then I use a sharp chisel to get my finished dimensions. There's something satisfying about using a very sharp chisel. When I'm happy with the way everything fits together, I apply glue, spread it out, and clamp everything together. Now to make sure that the kids don't have any sharp edges to hurt themselves on or scrape themselves or bump their heads, I run everything through the router with either 1/8 inch radius or a 1/4 inch radius. I was really worried about this project. I wanted to make sure that there was no way that the kids would get hurt. I take a notch off the armrest pieces to help them fit on top of the armrest supports. And then I continue to put radiuses on all the pieces that are used to build the armrest. Now I have to apologize, guys, because the battery on the camera died when I was assembling this, so I missed the most satisfying part of it. But everything's glued and brad nailed together with 18 gauge brad nails. It's super solid the way everything fits together with the notches and the channels. It's very strong. It's definitely strong enough to hold any kid. I sand the whole chair down with 220 grit sandpaper and then drill holes for the hardware to be installed. I then install all the hardware. These are eye bolts that I picked up at the hardware store. Tighten them down, make sure that I'm not going to split the wood or anything. Now here's a really cool trick. If you need to cut rope, Heat up a thin piece of metal and use the hot metal to not only cut the rope, it also melts the rope together to keep it from fraying. I feed the rope through the eye bolts, add a washer onto the rope, and tie a knot in the end of each rope. This prevents the rope from pulling back through the eye bolts, and now we can hang the chair up with the rope. I also added these pieces of hardware. I'm really not sure what they're called, but they are used to help the swing lean back a little bit when it's hanging up, to help keep the kids staying seated in the chair and not sliding forward out of the front. I hang the chair up, give it a swing test, and of course, I lean into it and put quite a bit of weight on it just to make sure that it's solid and it's going to hold up the kids, and it definitely is. I put majority of my weight on this thing. I finish the swing with a natural finish Danish oil. I do 2 coats and allow 15 minutes to dry between coats, and then 15 minutes after the second coat, I wipe any excess oil and give it 12 hours or so to finish soaking into the wood. I'm super happy with the way this came together. It's way better than any cheap plastic swing that you'd buy at the store. I made sure to use smaller eye bolts up where the kids' fingers will be because I want to make sure that there's no way they're going to pinch their finger. And again, if you guys like the video, drop a like, comment, and subscribe. I'd like to know your thoughts on it. I'd like to know if you think I should have done anything differently. And I'd love to keep making videos like this for you guys. So thank you. Have a good day, and we'll see you later.